Mr. Snyder here with another tutorial for Audacity Multitrack Audio Editing Program. We've now reduced the noise of all of our clips all at once by first of all sampling what noise sounds like and then actually applying the filter so it takes that particular sound profile out of all of our clips all at once. Now look what it's done. It's given us these little divisions in all of our clips. See these heavy black lines? That's just said that you don't need this part. It's probably silent. So we're going to remove those. But also if you look at the clips, we have all this other extraneous. Let me zoom in a bit. See, you've got some extraneous sound just before the voice starts and when the voice ends. So we're going to clean all of that up and get rid of this blank spot and clean up this stuff. So how are we going to do it? Well, the first thing I'm going to do for the sake of this tutorial is save my project first because we haven't done that yet. So how do we do that? I'm going to go File, Save Project, Save Project As. Okay, and then you get this warning saying, hey, look, you're not making an audio file now that you can play on any kind of media player. You're making a project file, meaning you're giving the instructions to the computer as to what you want to do with the sound clips. That's a project file. What order are things in? How loud are they? Where are you going to put things? Okay, so that's what a project file is, not an audio file. It's just reminding you, this isn't an audio file, so don't think you can play this. Because you cannot. Click OK. Now it's saying, what do you want to name it? I'm naming mine with a number. Give me your attendance number if you remember it. Underscore your first name only. Underscore Audacity project file. Now you can see I'm already up to version 3, V3, and I've got some extra information as well on the end. You don't need this. So you're probably going to start by saving as V1 for version 1. And then what I would do is immediately save it again and save a version 2. So you'll have 2 copies of exactly where you are now. Why don't we just hit save? Because if you hit save, what you're doing is you're saving your changes over top of the previous version of your editing. And if one of those project files becomes corrupt or you lose it or whatever might happen to it, you've lost all of your work that might have taken you a few days to do. If you have multiple project files, then if you lose a project file or it becomes corrupt or something happens, you can go back one version and you've maybe lost 20 minutes to half an hour of work as opposed to 3 or 4 days. So you're going to save as multiple versions, and I always put the V1, 2, 3 at the end. You can see I'm up to version 3, and you can see that it's going to save it as a .aup. That's called the file extension, and what that's going to do is define this type of file as an Audacity file. So when you double click on it inside of your project your folder where you've saved it, it'll recognize to open up Audacity with it, .aup. So that's the name, and then I'm going to select my location. Mine is saved in my desktop, and I've called it Audacity project files. This is not your media clips, your voices and sound effects and music. Double click it. You can see I've got forget this stuff here. That's just for me. Version 1, 2, 3. Let's save a version 4. Okay. And if you haven't saved it yet, save it twice. So version 4. There we go. I'm saving it as an Audacity project file in my Audacity project file folder. Version 4. Click save. There you go. It saved it. Now, File. If you're going to do it a second time, because I suggest you definitely do if it's the first time you're doing it, File, Save Project As. It's reminding you it's not an audio file, it's a project file. Click OK. Okay, and why don't I just save a version 5? You can't have too many versions of your project files. They're very small, so they're not taking up much space at all. Again, it's the instructions for the computer as to what to do with the clips, but you can't have too many versions of project files. Eventually, you're going to have a final version, but as you build, make sure you save multiple copies. Again, I'm going to save it. Okay, and now I've got this nicely backed up, and look, now I'm working on version 5. Okay, so if version 5 became corrupt, I could go back to version 4 and know that I'm starting right at the point that we see now. I haven't lost 3 or 4 days of work. I've maybe lost a half hour. Okay, so that's the first thing I want you to do. And then the next thing I want you to do after you've saved is I want you then to clean up your clips before we actually start to adjust the volume level. So again, we've got this extraneous audio here that's really nothing. There's no sounds there. So how do we do that? We're going to be in our selection tool. For the sake of the tutorial, I'm just going to zoom out. I'm going to select clips 2 to 6 down here. I'm going to move them. I'm just going to space things out is all I'm really doing for you. Back to my selection tool. I'm going to select this and I'm going to move it down. All I'm doing is making it easier for you to see in this tutorial. I won't do the whole thing. I'll just do this much of it. Okay, and move it over. And then I'd move those over too if I wasn't feeling all that comfortable that I wasn't going to make a mistake if things were too close. Now let's zoom in. Okay. There we go. That might be a little bit too much. Let's zoom out one. And now let's take our scroll bar and go over to our first clip, which is here. Zoom in one more time because I can see my first clip. Go to the beginning of it. And this is the audio that I want to clean off. This silent stuff here. If you notice there's silent stuff in the middle here, that is the silence between two particular lines of the script. We're going to leave that for now. I'm going to get into that in the next tutorial once we start to actually put things in order. So what I want you to do is go and click and drag. Don't go too close to the voice. Make sure you don't grab any of the voice. Okay, and I'm not going to touch the middle of this one. I'm going to go down here, click and drag. I'm getting rid of just the dead sound there. When we're in noise reduction, I did refer to the room sound as room sound. Actually, it's technically called room tone. When I used to work in the industry, the last thing as an audio operator you would do is you'd say to everybody, okay, recording room tone, and you just have the mic in the position that it was when you're recording, and you record 30 seconds of just the room tone, the sounds of the room, for exactly this reason. So I've cleaned that off. Now I'm going to go Command Z, and I'm going to make a mistake on purpose, and I'm going to just say I wasn't paying attention, I was distracted, and I'm going to delete that. Now let's go and take our play head back a bit. I always take it back before where you're wanting to listen to. And then I'm just going to hit spacebar to play, and let's listen to this.
And tomatoes.
See how I've cut the word sandwiches off?
And tomatoes.
That's not good. So what I need to do is I have to be aware of it right now and go Command Z. And I say, oh yeah, I can see why. Let me just show that. Sorry, Shift Command Z goes forward. There we go. Shift Command Z goes forward in time as far as your last edits. Command Z will go backwards. And I'm going to select that again more carefully and delete it. Okay, so I've cleaned that off nicely. Then I'm going to go to my second clip. Again, do not feel like you've got to get right tight up to the voice like so. You don't need to do that. You're just going to end up making mistakes. So leave a little bit of a dead gap between it. Select it, delete it. And if it helps, blow it up. There you go. I see I've got a little bit of space there. Don't get too precise or you're going to actually cause yourself grief. Now this one I'm just going to go, I can see this is all audio I need to get rid of. Hit delete. Oh, there's some more. I could have zoomed out and I would have seen that, but let me go zoom out now. Hey, there's the next clip. I'm going to go there. So, oops, see how I've gone almost too far by mistake because I wasn't paying attention, and I almost went into the other clip by mistake and started to erase some of the previous clip, the end of it. Got to be very careful. If in fact you do cut off part of the audio like so, there's no way in this program, which is unfortunate that I've found so far, to actually do a dynamic change of the end of your edit there. So I can't recapture. It's actually destructive. I've destroyed the clip on my timeline, but I haven't destroyed the original clip on my computer. But in order for me to get that back, if I was, say, 3 days later and I realized, oh, I cut part of that word off, I'd have to replace this clip in my timeline and redo the noise reduction and re-edit it. So Command Z, so pay really close attention as you do it. Again, I'm going to go here, drag over, delete, good. Here, drag over. So you're going to do this with all of both the male and the female clips. Okay? Clean off your clips and we'll pick it up from there.